Hey everyone, welcome back to the b8ta TV studio for today's live episode of b8ta Insider. I'm your host Noelle, coming to you from San Francisco, but today my guests are joining us all the way from Kansas City, Missouri. They are Kristen and Raul Reyes, the couple and co-founders behind the company Beyond Borders Collective, which makes these incredible blankets that are handmade in Ecuador. I can't wait for you guys to meet Kristen and Raul and also to see the blankets. So beautiful and really much more than a blanket. So let's get into the conversation now with both of them and bring them in live from KC Mo. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Oh, yeah.
Doing so well. So good to have you both with me today. We've got beautiful weather here in San Francisco. I understand it's beautiful weather in Kansas City as well. So we are in good spirits.
Definitely.
Awesome. Perfect day to take a Beyond Borders blanket out to a park, sit, chill. And you guys have a blanket there behind you, which is so gorgeous. And I'm so excited to talk about the blankets, but also your story. And would love to start at the beginning. Tell me kind of where your love story began.
Oh, man. Well, it all started when this girl from a small town in the middle of Nebraska decided to take a trip by herself to Ecuador to do volunteer work there. And during volunteer work, I ended up meeting this guy. And he was really great. The best way to get to know a culture is to meet a local, I guess. And he took me some trips around, sharing just the special things about the culture of Ecuador, some beautiful places through the local eye. And one of the places he took me to was called Otavalo, which is a marketplace. It's very common and well known for a lot of people there. And he took me there to introduce me and some friends to the artisans, the indigenous artisans there, that families all over that sell their handcrafted goods and showcase that with everybody. And we're able to kind of talk with them and purchase. And he introduced us to some of the blankets that they sell there as well. And that's where I got introduced to the craftsmanship of the blankets and just introduced to the beauty of the blankets in general. And while we were there, we were talking with one lady at the marketplace. Raul had his eye on one blanket that he loved. And most blankets are very vibrant and intricate there. But this one is very monochromatic and simple. And I actually have it right here. It's this blanket right here. He absolutely
Oh my, beautiful, yeah.
He got it from this lady who he just through conversation realized that she believed in herself, she believed in her product, and she empowered herself. And it was a time where I got to discover the heart behind him for business and what he had for a desire of business. And he was sharing with me he loves when he sees his people and his culture empower themselves and believe in their products and what they produce. And that he instantly wanted to get that blanket, and even more so after talking with her and seeing that in her. So he got this blanket. I learned a little bit about his heart for business in that moment, and we were just friends at that time. And then a couple months later, he asked me out on a date, and he used this blanket as a rooftop picnic. And we sat there and watched the sunset and talked about our dreams. And then a year later, he came back to that first date and asked me to marry him. And then shortly after that, we moved to the United States, and we decided, you know what, we really want to connect our cultures. And I'm passionate about cultures. Passionate. I have a huge passion for travel and connecting cultures together because I feel like there's something really deep there that we can all learn from each other, from different cultures around different parts of the world. And I've done several traveling before Ecuador. And so it was something that I'm super passionate about, and he's passionate about doing business in a fair way and doing business with empowerment. And he's always wanted to connect his culture with the United States. And we decided, you know what, let's do this. We love this blanket. They've been a huge part of our lives. They've been a huge part of our story. And there's still a part of it. This was still a part of it till this day. And We take it with us everywhere, and we make memorable moments, whether that's just within our home to TV or sipping on some wine or going out for a picnic, like you mentioned, when days are nice. So
Wow.
that's when the idea served, and we started doing testing out the waters, sharing it with people, friends, family, seeing how it was going to go. And it started from a suitcase of blankets to now we have a relationship with artisans that we can produce together and collaborate together and partner together to create something super sustainable and within our partnership. So that's how it all kind of started.
Wow.
Story,
You guys,
so.
that is like straight out of a movie. I love
Which
that. And I love that kind of your love story has kind of blossomed alongside the blossoming of your business. So tell me about kind of what it's been like to not only be a married couple but also co-founders and business partners.
Oh man, it is crazy fun but crazy challenging at the same
Yeah.
time. To be very vulnerable, like just learning the boundaries of when it's business time, when it's private time,
Right.
when it's family time, and especially when you have a startup and you're small and you start from the beginning. There's so many things and factors that play into that, and sometimes it feeds into our personal time. And so trying to figure out how to navigate that as a married couple, it's a balance, and it's constantly something we're always evaluating and balancing out. It's a balancing act for sure.
Not
Yeah.
for
Well,
everyone, I would say. Not for everyone, but uh, it definitely works when the time is right, when things align properly. Then yes, it works, and I think we're just thankful that it's working out just fine with its challenges and with everything. I think it works.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a great. I think for any couples out there that are thinking about starting a business together, good to hear from you guys who you've been kind of walking this road now for a few years.
Yeah.
So great advice there. Love that. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind for future. Now. So, Kirsten, you kind of touched on this a little bit about where the inspiration for the blankets has come from. Tell me about, because I understand, like you said, it started as bringing the blankets over from Ecuador to the U.S. What was the response like from family and friends? Because I understand they were sort of the first people that you introduced the blankets to.
Yeah. Well, their response, first of all, it excited them that it was somewhere different and exciting, like Ecuador, like a different culture. Um, and the other thing was they just loved the size and the feel of the blanket. That was one thing that a lot of them, and just the designs and the colors as well. They really, really enjoyed just experiencing the blanket and its fullness of what it is, and
Mm-hmm.
hearing that there are artists that it's something that is more personalized, which is always a bonus. And so that was something that was always just a huge feedback that we get, consistent feedback that we got when we first started and sharing with our friends and family.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think the most important thing about the inspiration is there have been some pieces that we have created, designed personally. There are some other pieces that are um, a little bit of like culture, either it's Ecuador, either it's America. For instance, you see the blanket that we have behind us. That's like it resembles a lot of the Native American, the indigenous American people too.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of bringing those things together and just really saying, um, it's all about the culture. It's all about bridging those gaps that people sometimes have with races, with cultures, with different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are the ones that really move our company. Those things are the ones that really inspire us every day. The designs are great, and everything behind it, it's just the heart of a company trying to really show that culture is not what you experience. Um, in just one place. Culture is what you can experience outside of those places, outside of those comfort zones, and also just bridging that gap between what especially people that haven't had the opportunity to travel and they go under their blankets, they will understand a little bit of the culture, they will understand a little bit of those things. So that is the most important thing for us.
And Raul, being from Quito, from Ecuador, what has it felt like for you to bring a piece of your culture back to the U.S. to introduce it to people here?
What does it feel like? Or
Yeah, I mean, kind of, I mean, how has that, I guess, impacted you maybe on an emotional level, just because you're so tied to the culture there and able to share it with people here? What does that
yeah,
mean to you?
I love the word when you mention how does it feel like, because
Yeah,
honestly it is a really strong feeling.
yeah.
We I come from such a tiny country, and really coming to a big nation like the United States, bringing something that it's important, meaningful to me, to show it to people around here and really be proud of who I am and where I come from. Because here in the U.S. you have different cultures living amongst each other, living around each other. You
Mm-hmm.
have different people with different backgrounds, and we have the same thing in Ecuador. Sometimes, we don't stop and think. Ecuador has their own difference too. They have their own cultural background. I'm different than the people that produce a blanket, and that difference that we have. They come from a different cultural background. They're indigenous people. They're native to Ecuador, and all those things that we can see that most likely people don't really get connected with them. I just make the effort to really say, I'm gonna go and connect. I'm gonna take my wife now, but then was my potential girlfriend take him to these places and say, you know what, it is very important as an Ecuadorian, as someone that understands my culture, but also wants to
Mm-hmm.
understand different cultures within the nation, to show it to the rest of the people, to show it to the person that I'm with right now, and that's just what makes me the most proud, that I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
say this is made in Ecuador, and this is high quality product, and even though it's such a tiny country, we can bring product that shows quality, shows excellence, and dignify a family, dignify people in Ecuador,
Mm-hmm.
by
Right.
the way it's sourced.
Yeah. And going off of that, tell us where the blankets are being made and who is making them.
Well, as Kristen mentioned at the beginning, it was a bunch of research. Later on, when we decided to make it a business, because business are not sustainable necessarily. Like, we didn't do it out of a suitcase. You know what I mean? We're just bringing stuff to kind of like introduce it to people, and then going doing a little bit of research, asking people, saying, you know what, who actually take this type who would like to take. I remember sending a message to one of my classmates in college. He is from a indigenous community in Ecuador. We went to college together, and he said, "I'm gonna just refer you to this specific family because they're pretty good at what they do. So you could probably talk to them, and they're very entrepreneurial, if that's the right way to pronounce it. Sometimes I have used good words, so I apologize beforehand." So this family is really like that. So you probably want to talk to them. And they went and talked to them and got connected, and we got super close with um, the son of the like one of the sons of like the business is run by the mom and dad, right? And then the son is wanting to take over the business right now because it's like a generational thing. So I connected with the son. He's around my age. He has a bigger family than I do, which is I admire that. But we started connecting, and just that flow of fresh ideas kind of
Mm.
brought this whole thing to life. So basically, the way He's the one that makes the blanket. He's the one that directs everything there. It is his business. It is his business, and we're beyond borders collective. We're the bridge. That's how I like to see it. You know what I mean? We don't employ people in the sense of saying we're employing you so you work for us. No, we work together. And you
Mm,
artisans and us, we work together for something in common, which is dignifying the hard work of yourself and us. So that is the whole idea of our business. It is very simple, and I always tell people it's not rocket science. We're not creating or reinventing the wheel. We're really going for the basics of how easy it is for people to really dignify others
yeah.
through their work, you know. And that is exactly what we do with other businesses that we work with the people that create the blankets. And those are the people that make the blanket. It's an indigenous family from the highlands of Ecuador that want to work with us and partner, because that's the word, partner, to accomplish something bigger than ourselves and themselves. So that's just the crazy part of it. And just saying one word that is very important, a sentence that is very important. They don't depend on us to really make things work or make things
Hmm.
happen. If anything, the bridge depends on them because we need someone to cross it. And that's just the thing, that's just what we believe. And that's how this came to be and to become something important for us and just this deep relationship that we have with the indigenous family that we work with closely. It's a small business, but we have really the idea of making it grow as big as it can be. Sky's the limit. Sometimes we could think about it, and we don't know how long it's going to take for this to grow, but we're just working hard to keep the essence of dignifying people and
Hmm.
dignifying the people around us and the people in Ecuador. That's just basically what we are for.
Wow. Yeah, and you guys were in Ecuador not long ago, for quite some time, back in February. So tell me about a little bit about that trip, and also kind of how your relationship with the family and those artisans has evolved over time, and kind of where it stands now.
Well, the relationship with we just went to Ecuador on a trip
Hmm.
to just kind of work on a project that we're having, and we got together. We talked about the project and everything. But the beautiful thing about the relationship is that um, it is just meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable. It's not meant to be something that you say, man, I have to go to work, or man, I have to go and see my supplier in Ecuador. That's just not the point. You know what I mean? So when you actually build a solid relationship with someone, and when you're able to travel to see these people, and
Hmm.
and you just go to a restaurant. I remember going to one of the best restaurants in Otavalo with him. He knew about this really nice restaurant by the lake, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. I was like, man, how did you find this place? And it was just something that we share in common. That he's also like me. We live in different places, but we're basically the same. He's always looking for new places. He's always looking for good relationships. During the pandemic, he called me. He was you know asking me how am I doing. He was not looking for like, hey, so when are we selling more blankets? He was just asking how am I doing. And honestly, that's the main, the key for our, I would say, success, not because of the money, but because of who we are as people and what we can accomplish, by building this relationship with them. So we had a lot of fun when we were there. He goes around. He goes around all the time. And every time I go to Ecuador, he's like, "So, are you gonna bring me a bottle of something?" And I'm like, "Well, of course. What do you want?" He's like, "Anything. Just surprise me." And I'm like, "No, I need to know what you want because I might bring you something that is absolutely gross and you don't like." And he's like, "No, just surprise me, right?" So when I go to the
Wow.
airport, um, that's like a must do. Go to a duty free and just really find something for him because I think he just enjoys those little gifts. um, you
Right.
know, and just building a relationship that way also is very important. He was he walked with us. He took the day, almost a day off. just be with us, and that was the greatest thing. We went to Mexican food at night, and if you think about those things, it's just the all the cultural crossing that is going on in such a tiny region in Ecuador. He's like, I know this Mexican place, and I'm like, how in the world you end up with a Mexican place in such a tiny country, in a country that, in a very small town in such a tiny country, and then you find a bunch of people there enjoying, what Mexico has to offer. So
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's what we love. That's he's in tune with us because he likes to share other cultures. He doesn't keep his culture
Right.
for himself, and he introduced us to something new as well. And we introduce each other into things that are like that. So that is basically the key of our relationship. That's how we actually, uh, you know, uh, do things with our artisans and how do we develop that.
Wow, that's really, really special. And I think it's so great for the consumers to know kind of that bond that you've established with
Yeah.
them. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how you're honoring them through your business practices. But before we get to that question, would love to talk about the blankets and see some of the blankets. I know you have one there behind you. My personal favorite, and I'm going to butcher this, is I wrote it down here phonetically on my notes. The Kichwa? Quechua?
Quechua.
Kichwa.
Yeah, you're right.
Quechua. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so glad I got that right. Honestly, I looked it up and was like, okay, I need to spell this out so I don't, completely offend the entire country of Ecuador with
No,
my pronunciation. But so beautiful. I love that design. Now, what's the one that you guys have behind you there?
this is our awa. It's an awa design. It is actually one of our most popular and beloved designs. It's
Yeah.
the one that sells out the fastest usually. This one particular, the color, it's awa vibrant autumn color. It has a lot of great love colors, reds, blues, oranges, yellows, and a little tint of gray. It's just a gorgeous blanket.
Yeah, and I mean the patterns of this one, they resemble a lot of what the indigenous, American patterns can, resembles a lot of that, mixed with a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of the Andean culture patterns
Yeah.
in it. So this is like such a beautiful blanket. You will see a lot of similar stuff because that's just literally type of like the type of art that they create. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a really really cool thing. So that's just basically our top seller right
Yeah.
here.
And tell me about sort of, I understand it sounds like they have, kind of the creative freedom to really express their creativity through the blankets. Um, and obviously, it sounds like, you're telling them or, relaying to them kind of what the consumer wants. But this is really an opportunity for them to express their culture and their identity through these blankets, which is really cool. And I think right now, culturally, I think we are all really starving for things that are authentic. So I love the authenticity here. These blankets, coming directly from these artisans in the Andean highlands, just you can't get more authentic than that. Tell me about the production process, kind of in its entirety, so people kind of know how the blankets are being produced.
Okay, so basically, they are producing a. I like to call it because I'm not a very technician person on those things. They basically collect the thread,
Mm-hmm.
the the post-consumer recycled acrylic. They put it together. They set up the colors. They do like it is like a how do you call it? They put like a bunch of thread together. They mix the colors first,
Uh huh.
and they put like a bunch of it's a lot of thread. They just put it together. They just make it like a long line of it, and then they just attach it to like the loom, right? And then once they
Mm-hmm.
run it to the loom, they can how do you call it? They put it. They attach the thread together, and then they make it run so that they can create the patterns and have like a
Wow.
little bit of control on how those are created. I'm not the best at explaining the process because honestly,
We're
it's,
not the
it's
makers
kind of
of.
I'm like that's what I see, and they can share all day about how they do it, but I'm like yeah,
Right.
but finding the right words. But that's just basically putting those things together, and just the way I see it, and that's how I describe it. it is just such a beautiful process, because they run it through, and it goes through a process, goes through the loom to create the pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, there's a process called, it's kind of like a brush. In Spanish, it's called perchado. So what it does is that basically the blanket comes out of a like a like a tapestry look. Like the pattern
Right.
is fine and everything, but then
Right.
the process that they do, like what they do with this brush, it's very cool because they make it soft. That's what makes it soft. Otherwise, it would look just like a regular tapestry, but they brush it so that they create this like consistency and softness of the product, you
Right.
know, and then just turning the fibers into like this beautiful and fluffy and good. It's just soft goodness, and
Yeah.
it's just great. So that's the process. Then they do that in Quito. So basically, they take it from Otavalo, and then they take
Right.
it to Quito to run it through this machine because that's a big machine because I don't
Oh.
think they can do it, and then it needs to be even. So they run it through this machine that brushes the blankets and get it into the right amount of texture that they need. And then after that, they bring it back to Otavalo, and they start splitting the blankets right into the sizes that they're supposed to have. The queen sizes that we have, and then
Mm-hmm.
they choose the thread that they're gonna put around, and then they just what we call the edging, and they start with edging and the labels, the tags, and all that you see. After that, and I'm gonna tell you the process of the way it is. After that, they pack it and send it to our warehouse in Quito. So it goes Otavalo, Quito, Otavalo, and then Quito again. Because they're small, so they need to outsource like some services we need to
Right.
outsource from other companies, which is totally okay. Moving the economy after all, so it doesn't really matter too much. But
Right.
and then we pack it in the warehouse in Quito, and then it's shipped to there's a pickup truck, and they come pick the blankets, take it to the airport or the port, whether it's gonna be airport or ocean freight, depending on the time of the year. And then here is where all the scrap paper and all the we make it we pack it here more beautiful for the final customer. So whoever buys the blanket here, it's gonna see the final product. And there are some little touches that we add here because we have the capacity of doing it here faster and more efficient. So yeah, that's that. I hope it makes sense.
Wow.
That's
It
the
does.
point.
I was tracking with all of that. I didn't realize though how the kind of that back and forth, like you were saying, from Quito to Otavalo, and how many steps really go into making these blankets, which just makes them, I think, even more special.
Yeah,
Such a labor of love, and obviously you two have put so much love into this business and into the people that are making the blankets, which is remarkable. And going back to them and kind of the artisans behind it. I know a lot of these companies that have products and goods that are made by artisans around the world. They oftentimes include pictures of the people who are making the goods on the product, but you don't do that. So tell me why that is.
yeah, absolutely. So we wanted to do that. Honestly, we really would love to.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in conversation with the artists, once we first met them, I'm like, hey, like, so this is part of like what we want to do. It's nothing more than just really saying, you are telling us that your service and your blanket, you can sell us at this much price, and then we can source it from you, and we can create a good product, right? But when I asked for the photos and the behind the scenes of all of it, it was really sad to hear how he he mentioned that companies um, in the past have taken advantage their um, of their situation. Basically, this is what I'm gonna put out there. All artisans are not poor people that are in a non-developed country, really not knowing what to do, and we don't help them. That is not the case. That is not beyond borders. That is not what we're about. Okay, so The reason why I say that is because it really made sense to me the moment he said, when people see me as a charity case, which it's fine when you really are a charity case. You know, when you really are someone that really needs and people need to be aware of you, need the help,
Yeah.
because that's a completely different project that we need to develop for that to happen. But, the moment we realize that companies are taking advantage of the situation, victimizing the artisan that have nothing to do with it, and they say, well, basically, saying basically what you would do is, my culture, according to this company, is gonna die if you don't buy a blanket. And to me, that was like, and he's like, my culture is not gonna die whether you buy or not. You can stop buying from us tomorrow.
Right.
Maybe we lose money. Maybe we file for bankruptcy as a company, but his culture is not gonna die. His artistry and his craftsmanship is gonna keep moving forward, and he's gonna probably find someone else besides me to make that happen. So when I say, "Can I show your picture?" He said, "No, because I just don't like when people see me like that."
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it would never happen. It might in the future, but for now, to me and to us as Beyond Borders, it's important to keep that relationship alive and to keep that relationship safe and make them feel safe. So knowing that we're creating their products properly and we're not promoting victimization of an artisan in Ecuador, which is basically what it
Right.
is. We're not victimizing them, we're dignifying, we're bridging the gap between our cultures, and we are partners. And if I have plate on my table to eat every day, I need to make sure he has the same. You know what I mean? As long as he has the
Right.
same, then we're good. That's what makes us partners, because we're both benefiting from our companies and our business, and that is basically the main and the most simple practice that we put into it. So basically, that's just what it is. I don't know if you want to add something to it.
So I think I think you really hit it right on the dot. Is people really want their faces out there, like
Mm-hmm.
they have been, and people construing their situation or their lifestyle in a false way. And we have a lot of pride as indigenous people who create, and rightly so, creating these masterpieces and these beautiful products that they craft. And they deserve nothing but to be dignified and to be respected in their artwork and what they create. And so the best way to do that is to build trust, and hopefully someday we can show those faces to everybody. But as of right now, our relationship with them is far more important, and we want to honor them and respect their wishes to remain just anonymous and do what they want to do and do what they love, and for us to have that great partnership and relationship with them. So
We always invite people to say, "Hey, if you want to come to Ecuador with us whenever we come, then you're more than welcome, and you'll see the faces.
There
You
you
yeah,
go.
see the pictures, but you'll see the faces."
exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, definitely. I love that so much. I mean, I think that's just amazing and really speaks to, I think, the two of you and kind of where your hearts are with this business, which is just so, so amazing and is a perfect kind of segue into my next question about, of course, we've talked about bridging the gap. And I said earlier on that when you have a Beyond Borders blanket, you're really getting more than just a blanket. So tell everyone out there kind of what they're getting.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, first of all, you're getting a blanket that is so soft. We'll just go with
Mm-hmm.
the tangible aspects of it first. You're getting a blanket that's so soft and so enjoyable and has great quality. It's huge. I can share it with 3 people if I want to. But one of my favorite uses that I love about these blankets is they're so versatile, and just like Raul also touched on, they also are a type of culture. You know,
mm,
the touch of inspiration that a different culture has had to put into these blankets, and
Mm-hmm.
everything that we try to incorporate with these blankets is we want it to be rich with culture, whether that
Yeah.
comes from the names of each of our designs, whether that comes from the colors that we put, whether it comes from the designs, the color schemes that the artisans put together, the stories, and just then the use, going out on a picnic, watching fireworks on 4th of July, and having a big blanket that is beautiful and creates a beautiful ambiance for life's most treasurable moments, like it has
Mm-hmm.
when we first dated and then got engaged, it created such a beautiful ambiance to those moments. So that it creates memories. It holds memories. Not only does it hold culture, but it holds memories.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that's just something that's so comforting to have, not in the sense of, no pun intended, but not in the sense of just being comforted in general with the blanket, but
Right.
being able to look at the blanket and think through all the memories that it's collected throughout the years of everything we've been able to do with it, travel with it, stay at home with it, go out to the park with it, whatever it may be. So
Right.
go to the beach with it. We see a lot of people go on beach picnics with these blankets as well. One thing I love about the blanket is the material is so tightly woven that when you lay it on the grass, it feels just like cushion. No grass pokes through.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my favorite thing because I don't like the feeling of pokey grass.
Right.
So for me, that was like the big bonus for me. I love going on picnics with these blankets because of that reason. So
As do I. And especially here in San Francisco, I mean, we have so many beautiful parks.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I love taking, the blankets out to enjoy a picnic, or like you said, Kirsten, also to the beach. It's so great. Now, last question for you guys: what can we expect to see from the Beyond Borders Collective in the future?
Well, that's a great question. I love that kind of future because that's the only thing that allows us to do, you know.
Yeah.
And really, in the future, not too far in the future, we've been we met we're learning a lot. We're learning a lot, and we met one of our good friends. His name is Philip. We're learning a lot about the culture here. The Indian culture, the indigenous culture from the U.S. And he's teaching us. He's showing us a lot about how to understand because it's not only that the blanket comes from Ecuador and it's created by indigenous people in Ecuador. If you see the patterns, as I said, it have a lot of resemblance to the indigenous American, uh, communities as well from different tribes. And you guys have a lot of tribes here too. Like a lot of indigenous peoples here, and that's amazing because I probably was not aware of that to the point where we met our friend Paul, and he has been teaching us. Um, sorry, we always get confused because it's Philip and Paul.
yeah, Philip, he
But
meant.
Philip. So our friend Philip, he has been teaching us
Educating us.
and educating us on this culture. So in the future, you will see a lot more of us getting more creative in partnerships and things with that community as well, with indigenous communities here in the U.S. Um, he's been such a great friend to us, and obviously Philip and Paul have been such great friends to us, and they have been teaching us and showing us the reality and the culture of the indigenous peoples here, indigenous groups, as well as like 'cause when he showed us, that was a beautiful thing. It's like they have no borders, they have no borders, they have no like they just go all the way up to Canada. I didn't know that until he,
Territories.
until
Right.
he showed us that. So it was such a beautiful thing, and then that's the expectation for the future. Keep ourselves developing and growing. We don't stay the same. Every year we change. Every year we know something different. We start one way, but we are gonna keep moving forward towards something different. Cultural awareness is what's gonna be something for us to really keep learning. One year we
Mm-hmm.
probably did one thing that was not necessarily suitable. Then the next year we change that. because we realize that this is fitting more of our company, and that's what I'm saying, and I think Kirsten wants to really add something to
Yeah,
it.
we're constantly evolving as a brand and as a company, and we always have cultural education as a forefront in our minds, in our brand. Beyond Borders Collective is supposed to be beyond borders. It's supposed to be connecting cultures, and so having this opportunity that is currently in the pipeline, we're really planning and hoping to grow and expand ourselves um, within different indigenous cultures and culture groups. And so that would be something that we would definitely love to see come forth. But yeah, we're always evolving, and so it's always hard to really promise and say this is what we're going to do in the future. And we have bigger and grander dreams 5-10 years from now that we would love to see happen. But those, we don't necessarily want to share those because it's going to happen. I think we've all understand that, especially with this pandemic and how everyone their roles have been flipped upside down. It's just something that there's certain things that we just keep on the DL for now. But in the sense of now, and in the sense of in a year or so, those are kind of the things that we are expanding ourselves in as a brand, as a business.
Making sure we stay true to what we believe from the beginning, which is expanding cultures, showing cultures to the world, and really dignifying people. That's basically what is going to be now and what's going to be in the future as well. And from there, it can only get better. So.
Amazing. Yeah. Love that the brand, like you said, is constantly evolving, but that you're really staying true to your roots and sort of that integrity and intentionality that you brought not only to the consumer, but the artisans as well. So love that approach. Love what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for joining me today. So good to have you here.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. And you guys all have a great day. Just really quickly before we sign off, head over to b8ta.com to get your Beyond Borders blanket today. We have 2 new arrivals. We have the Caminante and the El Viajero. So go on over there, check them out. Incredible blankets. You can also head over to beyondborderscollective.com to check out more inventory and learn more about Kristen and Raul. We'll see you guys back here very soon again in the b8ta TV studio for more episodes of b8ta Insider.